Hey guys, and welcome back yet again. I really appreciate you guys stopping in. Thank you so much for watching. Today we are going to be visiting back with our friend from our local Christmas tree farm that recently retired. Mr. Larry is going to walk through our trees this year and see exactly what we need to do and how things are looking, because that is the biggest question of all. How good did we do this year with planting? So I'm so excited to take you guys along. If you are not already subscribed, be sure to hit the subscribe button and click the bell so that you don't miss out on any of our videos. And without further ado, let's get rocking and let's get into it. Having a new farm idea is one thing. Having the ability to pull it off is quite another. Luckily for us, we had several acres up front right by the road that really needed to be replanted if it was going to grow any sort of amount of hay. And since we didn't have it calculated into our production budget, why not just transition it into Christmas trees and actually see if the idea can take off?
Your old tractor out here?
Yeah.
That old tractor, painted up, sitting in front of the warming house. Kids will climb over.
Oh yeah.
Drip irrigation started.
Yep, it's already running. Yep. We haven't lost a huge amount. We're still under the 10% mark, but our goal is to just lose as few as possible.
Your start looks pretty darn good. The wood chips around the base help with the weeds.
Oh no,
But your sections look nice, your rows look nice. Boy, you got a great start. You guys are well on your way.
I think predominantly we're going to stick with the fir, so we're going to do the Fraser, the Canaan, and maybe some concolor if we can get them.
Yeah. Concolor were never a big seller.
Really?
But they were always for a specific group of customers, they were very desirable. They knew what they wanted, and I want a concolor.
So
I wouldn't plant thousands of concolor,
oh, okay.
but I would definitely encourage to have a good have a supply of concolor.
Okay.
Yeah. But they never sold like as many as the Frasers.
Oh.
Of course,
well, that's good
the tree looks different. I mean, it's
a little bit larger needle, I think.
It's longer needle. It's not necessarily the deep dark green of a Fraser or Canaan. They're not as full.
Okay.
They're more
spread out, staggered.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of these come through. This is from shock, or would you say it's from heat?
Yep.
Because when we planted the bare roots, it was 80 degrees because we couldn't even get our hands on them until it was almost summer. You can see there's another one there.
You know, people often ask me what the survival rate was. I'd really be hard pressed to say it. Some years was better than others. This year I probably lost more, and I've only got maybe 1,000 trees on the whole property right now, but I've lost more mature trees this year than I think I've lost in a long, long time.
From what?
I don't know if it was the extremely wet April, May we had, and the extremely dry June.
Okay, yeah.
But I would think over the years, our survivability was probably around 80%.
Okay.
Yeah.
From start all the way to marketing.
I would think 8 out of 10
okay.
trees
That's good to know.
Survive. Market ability would be something a little different. Because, I mean, no matter how hard you trim and how hard you try to shape, like kids, sometimes they just are going to go their own way.
Yeah, I can see that. Now, what age did you personally start shaping your trees? I've heard 4 years is when you typically want to. What did you find worked better?
You know, I would start maybe about knee high.
Okay.
You know, just hypothetically here, say, even these trees here, I'd walk through them in the fall. And if you had like
a double leader,
like that.
Yeah, we've got some.
I would just go through and nip that double leader.
Okay.
And I don't see any double leaders here right now.
Oh, we do have them because we've talked like right here.
Yeah.
Or like where maybe the center. Well, this one in the center fell over.
Yep, that's.
But there's some where the center just didn't open, and so then you've got 4.
Yep.
So you just nip it down, nip this whole thing off so that you just have the stem.
The trimming techniques are this, you know, whether this one will come back or not, I don't know. But the trimming techniques will be, you'll learn so much about that through the association. But especially with the fir trees, when they got about knee high, and I started to see those double leaders, I would start
Clipping them down.
And you wouldn't necessarily have to trim the sides, and unless the leader was really tall. But if you got a leader that's much over 12 or 14 inches, then I'd clip the leader back too. But you won't get 12 to 14 inch leaders here for maybe another year or two.
Yeah.
But when they start double leaders, I'd make sure I'd go through this year yet, even with double leaders. Or
Okay.
I'm trying to find a tree here, an example.
Oh, I'm sure we can find them.
Well, take this one for example. If the old leader dries up and falls off, and the rest of it turns green, survival,
Yeah.
then I would come through and put you get a piece of bamboo.
Yeah.
You can, and you get that through the wholesalers, the bundles of bamboo.
Oh, and then you stake a new one up? Just
and you put a splint on it, yeah.
Just stake it up like that?
Yeah, and then there's a tape machine. Some people use string. I would use a tapener, and you just dry that push that bamboo down and straighten that leader up, so that next year this then becomes the leader.
The new leader. Okay.
And it helps it to keep growing straight. Or if you had a tree that was particularly crooked, and I don't see any.
See this one right here. There's a good example.
No, that's a poor example of a crooked tree.
Well, that's a bushy tree.
Yeah, because that's fine.
Oh, that'll grow out. We don't need to worry about trimming that.
Yes, that is. I wouldn't worry about that.
Okay.
But if if the tree was really over,
yeah,
then you can take a piece of bamboo, stand it up, and push it down, kind of like a splint. Here's a tree I would work on.
Oh yeah, because that one doesn't have a center.
You see, the old leader for some reason here didn't take off. Now a piece of bamboo down here, and bring up that leader and tape that leader to the bamboo.
And I wouldn't have to cut this down?
I wouldn't worry about those this year. But I would, that's one of the trees, what I would look for. This one here.
Same thing, the crown didn't, the center didn't
maybe
open.
Maybe next year, because that's all pretty straight.
Okay.
But yep, you could put a piece of bamboo on that one. That one there doesn't have a leader on it.
Yeah.
You do the same thing there.
We had a big issue with these. They were planted 2 weeks after the other ones, and like I said, it was 80 degrees.
Yep.
And I think if we had gotten the drip line in right when we planted them, they probably would have been okay. But
this one here needs some work. You see, you've got some really healthy. This first whorl is quite healthy, but the leader's never going to develop.
So bamboo went over.
Bring one of these whorls up. That's not unusual.
Okay. My husband was horrified when we started looking at them. And this one's another strange example. There's nothing on the sides here.
Yep.
It's just...
Which okay, now when this tree, if you can get the leader growing straight, these, if this tree were 6 foot tall, you wouldn't even be looking down there.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
So no, just because you got a gap here without any branches or any buds, so there won't be any branches, I wouldn't worry about it. But I would get this thing stood up like that.
Okay, so at least you have one established leader.
Yeah.
Now, when do you start doing that? Is that summer? Is that fall?
You can do that anytime.
Okay. And what is your favorite season to plant? Do you plant spring and fall, or which one do you prefer?
My favorite season would probably be fall, but we never had time in the fall, so we always planted in the spring.
Okay.
They tell me, and I guess I don't know for a fact, but I've heard different guys say that a fall planting has a better take than a spring planting.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's true or not. in the springtime, you've got late frost, you've got a dry spring. You got lots of things that can impact them. You know, our June, end of May, 1st of June was tough on drought this year. I mean,
Yeah.
it was dry.
It definitely was.
And,
Yep. It seems like the last couple of years it's been that
Yeah.
way.
And so in the fall, you don't have that, but I never had the time in the fall. And once you start selling in the fall, there's just a gazillion things you've got to do. You know, you really want to get everything mowed down nice and flat and looking good. You've got buildings, you've got supplies to get, plus you're
That's
working
true.
full time. And
Right.
it just seems like in the fall I never had time to plant. But that would be my preference time.
Okay.
Besides that, it interferes with hunting.
Yeah.
And I can't be allowing that. Here's a tree I definitely would.
Oh, there's a good double
There's a
leader
double,
head.
yeah.
Look
And
at
so,
that.
You know, I would come through here.
Look at that. It's almost like two trees.
Yeah, it is. And so this one needs to be nipped off
So
way
nip
down
that
at,
whole
way
thing.
way down at the base.
Okay.
Uh,
And that'll probably give it a little bit more
and there's
food.
another one that could use a piece of bamboo to straighten out the top.
This one looks like he's kind of trying to grow a little baby leader right there, but I don't know if it's ever
The
gonna.
leader got stunted for some reason.
Yeah.
It could be because of drought.
Now, as far as like a pole barn and a parking area, what do you think would work better? Because we had talked about putting like maybe a parking lot right here where the dirt is, and then maybe a pole barn somewhere out here. It's got to be 25 feet from the power line, so we gotta. Do you think that's too close to the road, or?
You have lots of options here. How many acres do you have?
We have 87 acres total.
So you got plenty of land, plenty of land. That won't be your issue. I think my preference is that wherever you have your parking, it needs to be close to your warming shed, your whatever you're going to do, your pay booth, however you're going to collect money. But as you visit 3-4 farms a weekend, it won't take long before you can say that setup will work good on our property. I would be cautious not to compromise land that I could put trees on if I could put parking in areas where I can't put trees.
Right. Yep.
But it needs to be someplace near your building. If you've got the ability to put an in and an out.
Yep. That's what I'm thinking.
So that you won't need that the first couple of years, and you don't have to do that right off the bat.
Right.
But in your long-term plans, the first few years you could use the same in and out. But there'll come a day and age when you're going to want an in and out.
One-way traffic
because
flow.
The traffic just picks up so bad.
Right.
You have so many options here. The first couple of years that we were there, we didn't have a full barn warming house. We just took one stall out of our bigger barn there.
Yeah.
And put up a temporary wall and had a one stall that we used for that first couple of years. I mean, you could do the same thing here.
Yeah.
One thing I will caution anyone who's considering doing this, look at your township regulations and look at your zoning. For our area, we're actually classified as low density residential. In a nutshell, it means we're not allowed to have people on our property. So in order for us to even get this tree farm up and running, we actually have to go to our township, submit our plans for our tree farm, and get approval to be rezoned. Now, that also means that we have to have special structures in place for people to come into. We are not actually allowed to have people come into our barn because it's not built as a commercial building. It's built as an ag building, which falls under a different list of building regulations and building codes. Sadly, there was a different first-generation tree farm a couple cities over from us that didn't try to investigate this and decided to start letting people come into their ag-built barn. And ultimately, the township shut down their entire farm with a cease and desist order, so they can't have anybody come on their property to buy trees ever again. because they were violating so many regulations and zoning regulations and building codes by not having the proper structures in place. So again, it's very, very important to work with your township and know ahead of time so that you don't pay the ultimate price with your farm.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a lot of options.
Well, I mean, the farm that we always went to, there was nothing there. They just had like a little mobile trailer that you'd hand money to, and that was it.
Yep.
No bathrooms, nothing.
And if that's what, you know, that farm wants, you know, I think he's limiting what he could become.
Oh yeah, they had the space. They could have.
They just want to sell a couple hundred trees a year. Well, if that's what you want to do, then you can do that. Another thing with the Canaan and really with the Fraser are cones.
Cones.
Pine cones, yeah.
Oh, what do you mean, like collecting them?
Nasty.
Oh.
If there's a drawback to growing Frasers, it's picking cones.
So you pull the cones off the trees?
Yeah.
Really?
And sometime when you're in the area, just stop by.
Sure.
And you can see the cone issue on mature trees.
Yeah.
Usually about 6 foot, 7 foot, they start developing cones in the upper couple of whorls.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they're nasty. And the bigger the tree, the more cones. And sometimes you can, and they distort the top part. They distort the whorls of the tree where the cones are. But they also take nutrition out of the tree.
Okay.
And so you got to pull those cones off, and you spend hours doing that.
Do you ever try to like grow your own pines or trees from seeds at all?
No.
Have you ever tried grafting off, like, you know, the cuttings that you do? Have you ever taken those and tried to root them?
I work full time.
Oh,
I put 40 hours into a tree farm. I'm not going to get into this bizarre stuff. Once it's cut down, if there's a big branch left attached to the stump, bend that branch up, cut everything else off.
And it'll become a new tree.
And that tree, it's already this tall, and it's got its root structure in place.
Exactly. That's my thinking.
Yeah, and we've done that off from the stumps of.
And you've had them become regular trees, and they look great.
Yeah, and that's something you can consider once you get to the point of harvesting. We never pulled the stumps to speak of. We would cut them off level, and by the time the next tree grew up, that first stump's rotted away.
That's what I've heard. It only takes like 3 years for them to rot out.
Yeah, there's nothing to them. And even when we planted with a planter, we just go through and cut all the other ones off, and then if there was nothing salvageable left, we'd go through and clear out all of the culls, and then we would go through with a planter right down like the middle here.
Oh, so you'd split the distance.
And plant the next block of trees here, there.
Gotcha.
There.
So you'd stagger it over one side.
It to replant the whole block.
Right.
But then we didn't always have to plant the whole block. Sometimes we just went through and planted where the trees got cut out.
Now we've seen people on YouTube where they, maybe 3 years before a tree is marketable size, they'll plant like another little small tree like this size right between the rows. So that when the big tree grows, then now you've already got little trees between them ready to go. Have you seen that done?
If the big tree grows. I've never heard of that.
I don't know how much sunlight it would get, would be my question.
Yeah, and unfortunately when kids and customers are here, they're not real cautious about what they step on.
Exactly.
And that was one of the issues about interplanting when you plant them next to an existing stump. And so you got, some mature trees here, and then a little tree, and then mature trees. As kids are running around, and family, and especially if there's snow on the ground, any number of them will get stepped on, and some of them will get ruined. We didn't have a land issue. We had more than enough property. We had basically 45 acres that were in the farm.
And you planted it all with Christmas trees.
Yeah.
Man, that is crazy.
Yep. But But your spacing is nice and your rows are nice.
He went on to discuss the various benefits and drawbacks of each of the different types of trees and said that Canans and Frasers seem to have the fewest drawbacks, although
Benefits, it's a lot easier. Just kind of give them a quick shape because they're more natural.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, when the cones come out, they're miserable. The pine take more trimming. They take more chemicals, more bugs. They're more susceptible to bugs, and they generate the less money.
Now, did you ever have an issue with deer eating your fir trees?
Not so much eating the fir. The deer would rub the fir.
Okay, yeah, that I could see.
The bucks come through and rub the fir, and there's a philosophy, I don't know if it's true or not, we followed it. You know, if this tree is all beat up by a deer, don't cut it out.
Leave it, because then that's a marking tree. They'll come through and they'll mark it.
Come back to it the next year instead of doing that tree, they'll do this.
thank you guys so much for stopping by again. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys are staying well and healthy this year. I wish you all a very Merry Christmas. I will see you again before Christmas, don't worry. But until then, try to find ways to bring a little bit of joy into the lives of those around you. Try to reach out and just help somebody that you might not think needs help. You know, whether it's stopping on the side of the road to help somebody change their tire, or maybe the person in front of you in the grocery line doesn't have enough money to buy their groceries, you know, you can help them out. Just find ways to really make a difference in the lives of those around you, even complete strangers. Thank you guys so much. Take care, and until next time, love you. Bye.